Hello and welcome to Gwent. So we got a new patch, awesome news. I always much rather see the developers make changes, possibly mess it up, than just sit on it for months and months or possibly even longer and just make nothing happen. Because changes always shake up the game. And hope that will not change even when the game gets released. Anyway, big change, big update. Coming to everywhere. We got the X-Men guy. Great guy. Let's see what we're dealing with here. Commander's Horde now adds a +4 to arrow. A slight nerf. I think that's fair enough because row stacking strategies will still considered an auto include. But it would be less of a reason to run it in a hybrid deck. And Triss Marigold can target both sides of the board. Well, yeah, possibly you want to kill some whales from Skellige or some cows. And that just gives you a lot of options. Of course, such strategies like the whale and the cow get weaker. And obviously it's only Triss. So if you want some kind of a counter to that, now you have the option to include Triss. But we also have Jorvet and Vernon Roche, who, as far as I know, can do that. So, yeah, that's a toss-up between those ones. Of course, well, Vernon can't do a whole lot other than that. Of course, if you want to kill something for 5, then Vernon is great. But Jorvet is generally considered the better one because he can kill Ciri. And that's ridiculous powerful. Also, not only Ciri, he can also kill the new Mango Nose. He can also kill Aquist. Well, we're just gonna get to that. I gave it a quick look, but we're just gonna go over everything. Marigold, Hailstorm, Skellige Storm, and White Frost now let you choose one weather effect. So they are a lot worse. They are just much worse Aromancies. And Aromancy still allows you to choose between 3 rows. So now it's strictly better. I'm not so sure, like, keeping Aromancy legendary with these changes, because now it's just a higher rarity and superior card. I mean, like, these cards will be still good if you're running a weather deck, because you want all the weather you can have, and having the versatility to choose where you need it is kind of okay. I'm not so sure how useful these will be. Not auto include, but I can still see these getting used, like the White Frost. That's gonna be pretty good. But obviously, if you're gonna add one weather card to your deck, it's gonna be Aromancy for sure. Monsters. Ancient Foglet strength changed from 6 to 5. Well, the guess was pretty good. And it got pretty out of control in long games. So that's possibly a reasonable change, but possibly too much. I don't know. Obviously, I never liked the fact that he just got bigger over time, because that makes a monster just synergize well with weather. I believe the biggest problem with weather when it comes to monsters is that they can get out the foglets with it. So if you play a fog, you're straight up playing 6 power plus the weather effect that you might be immune to with the ancient foglets, and that's most definitely the case. So that strategy will be weaker, but as far as I see it, the foglets were the main problem with it. Because the foglets come out, and that's strict strength right away. Ancient foglet, perhaps. Avalok strength changed from 6 to 8. Still an excellent spy. Not only helps you dig, kind of helps your opponent dig a little bit as well. But it doesn't give away a lot of strength. Of course, slightly worse against Northern Realm, but other than that, it's okay. Crones, well, they were a bit too strong, and actually they're still a bit too strong. I don't know, but you give up a lot of silvers for it, and also help you dig because they just get rid of 2 cards in your deck. 7, 8, 7. So compared to their original state, 7, 7, 7, they got 1 buff, but that one buff is a big one because they can be burned at the same time. Succubus strength from 10 to 8. Now Succubus is an interesting card because you need to steal something big with it. I don't think if just players are playing vanilla minions, he's gonna worth it. She's gonna worth it, because, for example, if you steal an 8 strength, then that's a 16 swing, but you're also giving up 8, so that's not worth it. You need to, I don't know, 11 strength. How about that? 22 minus 20. Well, 11 strength is the bare minimum you wanna steal, as far as I see it. And 12 strength could be okay. So anything above 12 strength, if those are common in the meta and you don't have a lot of, well, this would be one answer to them with monsters. Especially if those ridiculous strength cards are weather immune, because you either address them with weather, or you like do Ignis and Scorches or Succubuses. A Succubus can be even better, so this is awesome, especially if they just run one big guy. So Succubus, pretty good. Also, of course, there's a slight, of course, Succubus is a timer, and that is something you have to consider, because if you just play the Succubus on your opponent's board, and he can afford to pass, and he would lose anyway, he will pass, and he will force you to play another card. Because if you just play the Succubus and you rely on the Succubus ability to win you the game, Succubus is a timer, and because of that, well, that timer goes, well, ticks right away, but you still need to play one other card. If your opponent can afford to pass, then simply Succubus turns out to be an 8 strength gold card that also loses you a card, if your opponent can afford to pass. So you gotta be smart about this. Of course, it forces out a pass, in a way, if you're about to steal something great, but still, you gotta be smart about this, because this could easily lose your card if you don't do it right. Ram Warrior strength changed from 5 to 6. Yeah, that guy really needed a buff. He was so weak. Succubus will now place agile units on the opposite row by moving them. By the way, joking with this. But yeah. Ram Warrior will not consume a unit right after being played. Now that is a very important change. Mainly to not screw over spies. Because when you just play the Cantarella and you fully intended to get her back, Ram Warrior just came down, ate her. It will be still a thing with monster players can still eat Cantarella with Karen and how's it called? Amnera? I don't know. I don't really know off the top of my head, but they can still target her, but they can't do it with Ram Warrior anymore, and that's a good change. Ram Warrior got out of control a little too fast, in my opinion, and this way, again, another 6 strength card. So if you run your vet, you can just remove it, or the lightning, also thunder. That's again a good way to get rid of it. So you have more of a counterplay if you add those type of cards in your deck. King Brand now discards up to 3 cards and adds 1 base value to them. So that's pretty good. You not only thinning your deck by 3, but also buffing them up. And they can be, for example, the ones that benefit from this card, and they just get out right away. So yeah. King Bran is definitely the man. Also, worth noting that, well, Nilfgaard got some buffs, so Resurrectors might be back, so you gotta be careful with that. If your strategy revolves around buffing up one bronze guy, well, that could be a little bit inconsistent. I know, for example, Skellige players like doing the way that they lose the first round, then win the second round, but even if you do that, you can only just resurrect 1 bronze unit before the Nilfgaard has its say. So yeah, gotta be careful with that. Swanridge now draws cards first, then discards them. That's a reasonable buff. Drag Bandu, strength changed from 4. Is no longer relentless. And ability change to add 3 base strength to 2 non-gold units in your graveyard. That's reasonable. You don't buff your whole graveyard, but you just work with few units. And this is especially good if you're just like, I don't know, I don't know, you play with all geared. That's kind of good. But I suppose I'm not much of a Skellige player. The cool strategies will not come from me, I suppose. Clan Todarok, Armor Smith, strength change from 6 to 5. Alright. Clan Tursearch X-Man gets plus strength for every damage unit on the opponent's side of the board. Yeah, that guy got out of control a little bit too fast. I sometimes just got strength for no reason, from what I've seen. The X-Men will be still really good, but self-damage will be less common. Anyway, Hermione will now draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. That's a reasonable buff, so... It's like a Last Wish. I believe it's called the Last Wish. Last Wish with a 6 strength gold card. And Skellige definitely likes discarding. And it's a good way to thin your deck too. Cadvani Siege support now can only be placed on the Siege row. Well, Siege row is the best anyway. So... That's not much of a nerf. Possibly you just... you used it before to... I don't know, to help with the row stacking action. Or... possibly, I don't know, dodge some cows. You just put it next to the cow and he's the one who got killed. That's basically it. I think this is fair. Fair enough, because he's a nice strength dude. Reinforcements will now be able to target all bronze cards, even if there are no copies left in the deck. Fine. So, I didn't really use this card before. So, if you didn't have... So what? It was a dead card? It was unplayable? If you didn't have a bronze card that didn't have copies in the deck? That's odd. But you needed to pass? I don't know. But, slightly worrying fact, Northern Realm is not significantly nerfed. And I already played few games. And guess what I seen? It was 5 games, I believe. I played 5 games. It was 5 out of 5 control Radovid. Without the fail. People play that. Hey, maybe there will be some change. But that was very, 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 very early on. In the patch. I was too tired to make a video. Added 1 time onto Dennis Kramer. And will now reset all other non-gold units on the row at the end of the turn. I guess that's fair enough. Yeah, Scoia'tael is not getting much change either, so probably it's gonna see a lot more of that Scoia'tael turn buffing, I mean, row buffing action. Even with the change to Commander's Horn, it's not a huge deal. And this is the main thing. I probably should have started with this update. Our main focus is to improve balance, solve some of the major issues that were affecting gameplay, and improve how Nilfgaard works, especially strategies focusing on revealing cards. A lot of Nilfgaard gold cards have also received strength improvements. Details below. Well, yes, Nilfgaard reveal really sucked. Is it fixed? I don't know. I gave it, that was the deck I played, just for the quick look, and maybe, I don't know. We just had to see. I definitely gonna play that. Imperial Brigade is now boosted only by spying units on the opponent's side of the board. That makes balancing it a little bit easier, because I feel like the Imperial Brigade's balance is also accounted for the fact that you might deal with spies on your side, and sometimes you dealt with spies on your side, you know? You had, like, very rarely. But sometimes it happened. Treason now adds 8 to an opposing spying non-gold unit. Now, I believe Treason was an amazing card already. Because if you played it, I don't know, in a Cantarella, for example, then you remove their 2 strength Cantarella. Well, technically there, and you gain the 10 strength Cantarella. So that was a 22-point swing. Now it's gonna be a 26-point swing. So, only problem with Treason, of course, is that it only works. Well, it's ideal with the big spy unit. So, Cantarella is the best to use on. Or the other one, the best to use on is a turn to silver Leto, who already did his job, and you just take back a 50-point Leto. But at that point, you don't really care about this buff. You just want to get back Leto. Mangonel's strength changed from 4 to 6. Yeah, Mangonel, I don't know. We just have to see. We just have to see. There's a lot of cards that can still kill it very easily. And of course it completely relies on reveals to get its value. Spotters now receive 1 for each revealed card wherever they are. And that's a good change. They were incredibly awkward to play. That's a good change. Spotter's strength changed from 5 to 4. Alright. We just have to see. Again, most of these changes, I mean, they are just making the best they believe for the game. But ultimately, it's just gonna come down to testing. So, we can't just make huge predictions blindly. Nausicaa Brigade now deals 5 damage. Now that's pretty important because that can also kill the rider now. And well, it's gonna be more important with Morvan. So you can just, if you're just having sending in some ambassadors, then you can just run this guy. Only problem that Nausicaa Brigade is on the range row. So yeah, because the monster players, by my prediction, will not abandon weather by any means. And playing the fog still gives you 6 strength. And gets out the fog, and if it screws over your opponent, that's just the bonus. Imperial Brigade now gets 3 strength instead of 2 of every spying unit. Now, I believe that should have been just combined. That should have been just below it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's a huge change. Imperial Brigade was good. I ran a Calvate deck, and it was good. I ran 2 of them, but it was not great. But now, it's gonna be pretty much a must-have. It's gonna be ridiculously out of control. I don't know if it's gonna be ridiculously out of control, but it's definitely gonna be better. And most of the time, you only have spies on the enemy board. So, this is a huge change. Spheres change from 7 to 8. Yeah, I don't know. His power basically thins your opponent's deck. And, well, it does that. It basically selects a unit and puts any unit that they have, any unit like that in their deck, in the graveyard. And that is hard to really work with. I don't know. It's really good. I used it once to try to combine try to wreck the Necker strategy, because some players are just like you know, having a lot of Neckers in their deck and like, yeah, I'm gonna draw into all these Neckers and they're gonna get ridiculous, and you just target that one Necker and send all their Neckers in their graveyard, and now they suddenly have no Neckers whatsoever. And against that, it's good. That's the only time I ever used it. But even then, I ended up not facing the consume monsters most of the time. So, I don't know. Situational card for sure. Valhamar, there's the guy gets buffed by the reveals. So, a slight buff to him, but slight nerf to the spotters. Okay. Cynthia Guardian's strength changed from 8 to 6. Now, that Guardian has a shield, but that doesn't matter unless you want to kill the Guardian. And 6 strength is just makes this card even more, kind of enticing. I don't know. It's kind of good because your opponent gets something crap, and you get a card. Wait a second. How should I calculate the strength of Cynthia? Cynthia's a 8 strength card that draws you a card that has the, I don't know, let's say the value of like 10 or even 12. So Cynthia's an 18 strength card with the draw, and your opponent draws something as well, but only has 6 strength. So Cynthia is technically pretty much worth it because your opponent draws crap. It's better than Aldrich, who just gives a real draw to your opponent. Because he's a 9 strength, but you get a real draw and your opponent gets a real draw. But this way, Cynthia doesn't even help thin your opponent's deck, he just gives him crap. And that's quite good. Of course, if the opponent can use this Guardian to, I don't know, some miracle effect, then maybe, but Cynthia in itself, or on its own, is not too bad. Because you get a card, and your opponent gets a crap. So that's good. Cynthia is something you can actually run, and not strictly a reveal deck, as I see it. Not technically the best, but it's very usable. Mano Cohorn, the guy who kills all the spies, now a little stronger. Now the way I see it, if you run a lot of spies, then you usually just wanna run Calvate to kill to get back all the spies. But I suppose this guy is okay. Maybe if you run a fair amount of spies and you want this guy with Morvan, I don't know. Sartisius? Very interesting. So this guy is the who messes up the draws of your opponent. Of course, if he reshuffles his deck, that's not so much. But now he's just only 1 point weaker than a strong Geralt. So you might be tempted to run this. Only problem is that he's pretty expensive right now. I would try to make him work if I could, but I can't afford him right now. Anyway, it's definitely a card you want if you just wanna, if you don't have anything specific in mind and you just wanna mess up your opponent's draw. Especially, well, of course, if you play it last, then he sucks. He's just a little bit of strength gold. But other than that, and if your opponent reshuffles their deck, then he sucks again. But you can just take out a good card and make sure that they don't draw into it. Morvan Boris will not shuffle the deck after using his ability. Now that's a very important change, because that makes Xartisius better. And with that said, I believe Stefan, the 9 strength guy, he shuffles your deck. I don't know what other effects shuffle your deck off the top of my head. And Tigor Egebrack now gains base value strength and reverts to 7 once removed from the battlefield. That's just a minor buff to him, so if he ever gets turned into silver, then he just doesn't lose his buff. I think that's fair enough. And these are just fixes, and yeah, I believe that's it. So, looks awesome. Let's check it out. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this analysis. I wanted to check it out myself as well, so might as well, hey, let's just, maybe someone wants to check it out as well. And, yeah, see you guys.